Now, there are some tools, and there are, lots of people are, you go to the grocery store, no toilet paper, right? Everybody's talking about it on the internet. They're making jokes about it. But there are some real tools that people have thought, this will help me, right? You see people wearing masks. You see the advisory not to wear masks, that you're touching your face more than you would if you weren't wearing one. What do you know, based on what you do, that we can tell an average person who's wondering the same thing?
Well, the first thing I want to do is let's go track back a little and let's say, where does the virus exist?
No, that's great.
Right there, the person that's sick. Now, that person who's sick might be having symptoms or might be completely asymptomatic, just a carrier and spreading the virus. So, for instance, if because I have a high risk because I'm a healthcare professional and I'm talking to you, small little droplets
Particles
of liquid are coming out of saliva.
Right.
No secretions are coming out of my. Now you're pushing yourself back, right?
Yes, keep talking.
Are traveling in the air, and those can be full of viruses. So that is how the transmission is done. The other thing we do is that we touch thousands of things a day.
Yes.
And then we touch our mouth, nose, and eyes. Right. All these secretions, especially in the eyes, nose, and mouth, can have the virus. So potentially, if I grab this microphone and then you help me adjust it, I have just effectively transmitted. So if somebody's traveling, say for instance, and you're going to go hop on a plane, well, you have to grab the Uber. So you open the door, you sit down, you grab the seat, you grab your cell phone. Now you've contaminated your cell phone. And even though you were being careful about not touching your face,
your cell phone is
touching your face.
Yeah, totally.
And then you give it to your kid, and your kid starts playing with it.
And whoever your kid was touching, this is probably nobody really thinks about how vast the amount of germs that pass actually take place.
And then you're going to touch your glasses.
I do touch my glasses.
Frequently.
And then I clean them. Yeah.
And then you clean them. And now you've contaminated. If it is not something that's going to kill the virus, you've just contaminated the tissue or whatever the object you're using to clean. So this is why it's important to understand that what you are using to clean either your hands and or inert objects like a tabletop, your computer, etc., it's extremely important to do it at the right moment and do it frequently. So the CDC and the World Health Organization says number one thing you can do to avoid this is stay away from areas that have large infections. Well, everybody's done that. Everybody's afraid to go to China. All well and done.
Right.
Second thing they say, because it's now a community transmission, now it's not people in China or in Italy or in
Tom Hanks.
Korea.
I read it. Tom Hanks is in the hospital.
And he's in Australia.
With his wife.
Right? So it's community transmission. So what do you have to do? You have to frequently wash your hands. That's the most important thing we can do right now. Now, what is the technique? There's a technique to wash our hands when we do surgery. As long as you wash them for 20 seconds, good enough. Soap, water. That's it.
Say the alphabet while you wash your hands.
Or sing your happy birthday song.
Or sing happy birthday.
And that's the most important thing. If you have no water at that moment or you have an alternative,
yes,
use alcohol-based cleaners, hand sanitizers like this guy, which has around 90% alcohol, and anything above 60% will kill it. So I have my props here.
Yes.
The other thing is pure
Visuals
alcohol.
are great.
Don't drink it, just use it, and this will kill any virus. Now, the problem that we're seeing right now is that everybody went crazy, and you were talking about toilet paper.
They bought everything,
There's no Purell. There's no chlorine wipes
right.
anywhere. You can't find them on Amazon. You're going to Costco. You can't find anything. So people are saying, what do we do now? Everybody has chlorine, bleach.
Yeah, dilute it.
You just get bleach, a third of a cup, stick it in a gallon of water, put it in a spray pump, and that'll kill the virus on any surface.
That's good to know. But skin contact's probably not great, right?
Well, not that, but that's why you want to wash your hands and everything else.
Say the measurement again, because I think that's a good one.
It's a third of a cup.
In a gallon of water.
That's bleach. Great. Common bleach. Household bleach. That's it. So grab 1 gallon of bleach. That should afford you the whole season.
Now, here's what I want to do because I know that there are probably a bunch of questions that people are going to be asking as more information comes out. The sources you said, the CDC, the World Health Organization, are there other areas or are there any other sources where you would say really you shouldn't be leaning on these?
Exactly. I want to say follow the World Health Organization and the CDC because it has filtered the information. And in fact, if you look at the CDC website, Centers for Disease Control, you're going to find that there are links to the actual studies that are ongoing. So that's the only difference between somebody who's a medical professional. I can actually go into the studies and understand how the study was designed, and I can see that the study was either flawed or there's scientific backing behind whatever they're claiming. And one of them was a certain medication that seems to work in vitro, in other words, in a lab.
Right.
But in vivo, in a person, we're not so sure. But everybody's buying it anyways.
Right, of course.
So I'm not even going to say what it is because there's really no proof. But the most important thing is I've also been seeing publications online, on Facebook, on social media, which are the typical opportunistic media types that are scandalous and they're basically unfounded and they're creating...
Yeah, they're incredible. They have no credibility.
No substantiated
Right.
Information, and they're really just creating fame for themselves, but can really lead to fear and panic.
Yeah. And the way that we can fight that fear is by doing our due diligence and checking sources and not hearsay. And there's so much widespread hearsay because of things like Instagram and Facebook, even the news right now. You really have to do your due diligence to know who it is and what it is that you're hearing from. So here's my recommendation to you as we wrap this conversation. This won't be the last conversation because, as we know, this is an ongoing socially impacted, communally impacted situation. There's going to be more information that's going to come out. And if this has served you, or if you don't have a working professional in your circle, our circle can be your circle, right? I want the facts that we share amongst ourselves in our church and our community to be facts that you can hold on to and that you can take back to your community, especially if you lack somebody who's able to rightly decipher. Like, I'm good at studying the New Testament and the Old Testament. Ariel's good at keeping people alive, right? So I want to be somebody who goes to him when it's about life stuff. He comes to me every once in a while when it's about Bible stuff. And together we are better with one another. So Ariel, if people want to put something into practice right here and right now, what's something that they can do?
Right now, because we are in California, we are in San Diego, we're in a emergency situation now, an emergency status. There's a couple of things you have to do. You have to create social distancing. So keep away from large crowds, keep away from going to events that are overpopulated, keep away from sick people, wash your hands often. Don't fear, just be proactive. The other thing that you want to do is be careful with face masks. Face masks are to be used with people that are sick. They're the ones that you want to cover.
You want to contain.
Contain exactly that expelling of virus. When health professionals are treating patients, that's when we need the
Right.
masks. And one important thing, I've got two types of masks. These masks, if you're using them all day to cover yourself, and you're going to place them correctly, which is you're aspirating all the viruses through here, and then they're going to contaminate this area. And at the end of the day, you're going to
Put it on your counter. You're going to
counter,
put it in your
throw
car.
it away, and then touch your eyes. So you've effectively concentrated virus that maybe you wouldn't have not gotten contaminated.
Compounded it.
Exactly. Concentrated in your face mask. So keep away from face masks unless you are sick. If you are sick, stay home. Call a doctor. Do not leave unless for testing or treatment. If you have severe symptoms, immediately seek medical attention. And if not, if you have any doubts, isolate yourself from your family, and even from animals at this point.
It's good to know. Second mask.
Second mask, before we go. Now, this is a special mask. This mask is for healthcare professionals. It has a valve. This is the mask that is effective when you have continuous contact with somebody who has COVID-19 or coronavirus 2019. And the reason we're not purchasing these is you want healthcare professionals to have them and somebody who's a healthcare provider who's treating somebody at home. Apart from that, the general population should stay away
That's
from
great advice. Ariel, thanks for your time. I really appreciate it. And listen, if you need prayer or any other resources or you want any more information, Ariel always make himself somewhat available as I just lead you into that. But if you're a ministry leader, please check back and check often because we're trying to create as many resources as possible so you can be both informed and equipped, but also you can combat fear with not just faith, but great facts. Ariel, thanks for your time.
Well, thank you, man.
We'll see you guys soon.